Welcome to another episode of last week's Comics Today. I think I'm going to have a disappointing middle in this stack, but I need to get straight into this because I'm going to have some things to say at the end of this. So we're going to start this week with All Immortals. This is issue 2, and I enjoyed the first issue well enough, certainly well enough to grab the second issue, but I think after 30 plus years of buying comics, I think I'm finally at a point where I can make decisions faster about what to read and what not to read. There is... Let me just talk about this. I forgot about this until I started flipping through it. So, she gets into this fight, and she gets shot a bunch. All of that, right? And there's bullet holes apparently only in her skin. Well, she does get shot in her pants. And her clothes are fine for the entire rest of the issue. There are no holes. There are just blood stains. And I'm like, this... Come on now. You're just being lazy. Fully intact clothing. Blood stains only on the outside. I'm like, what the... Anyway. So this issue has more of her and this guy on the run from the rest of her family until, spoilers, her family catches up to her. This guy here. So there's history, there's a bunch of stuff with axes, and, you know, I can certainly draw that out of a room. Look at that. The story just isn't there for me. I don't care. I don't care. I won't be getting issue 3, but there was a point where I would have just, because it's a 5-issue series, I would have just, like, continued along with it and, like, see how it ends. I don't care. I don't care. Art's nice. The story is not there for me, and I have not heard of this artist before, but I will probably check out whatever they do next, because this guy can draw, just not bullet holes in clothing, apparently. Falling in Love on the Path to Hell, issue 3. Yes. So issue 1 was them both dying, these two here, and then issue 2 was them arriving and exploring the island, having things explained to them. So this is kind of the start of whatever this hell, possibly in quotes. Oh, I didn't notice the hands in there before. That's well done. It's excellent. The short answer is excellent. It is recommended. I think there's a couple of books. If you watch Berg and I talk about comics over on the other channel, he mentions Sacrificers a lot, and he feels very strongly about that book. I also agree that it's excellent. There are a couple of other books, however, that I feel similarly about at his level of, this is great, this is one of the, you know, must-read books every month that it comes out. Weatherman was one of those, absolutely. I still got to send those guys an email asking for a hardcover and just praising how excellent it is. And because it's not quite September, but it's not even near the end of the year. But I'm starting to think about year-end videos and lists and stuff, and I'm like, well, Weatherman is absolutely on that list. And what else is on that top books of the year list? And it's Falling in Love on the Path to Hell is another one of those. So the art is spectacular. The storytelling, because these two don't speak the same language. Oh, right. There's a lot of penis in this issue. That's one of the reasons that I wasn't flipping through it, and then I just open it and penis. The art is amazing. The storytelling is fantastic. It's super interesting. It is these two. And I don't want to show it to you because there's going to be random penis all over the place. Anyway, it's brutal. There's an ending to this that I did not foresee, and just like, yikes. Anyway, it's excellent. Highly recommended. Barfly issue 2. This is from the World of Minor Threats, and I enjoyed the first issue, and part of that, I think, is Kyle Starks. But there's a bunch of just hidden background art stuff, and that's still here, and the art is very much still Ryan Brown. I mean, look at this guy. Look at that panel. This looks like a shark tail. Anyway, I enjoyed this guy out of the first issue, and he's got a coworker that's also entertaining. But he has an old boss, this guy here, and he's just a raging dick. And he takes over the book, and it kind of makes sense in the story sense, except as an audience member, I don't want to read about this giant asshole. And, like, it just sours the entire book, in my opinion. Because this guy had been the spotlight, and now it's shifted over to him, who I like dramatically less. And there's one of the minor art things hidden in the background that I'm talking about. Anyway, I question whether or not I'm going to continue reading this. If he is as prominent as he is this issue, then I'm just notably going to enjoy it less than if he weren't. If the focus were back on Shit-Eater, as they call him. So, I don't know. I might wait for preview pages to drop probably just before the next issue comes out. I don't know. At the moment, I can't recommend it. Nightwatcher, issue 1. This is the new Ninja Turtles, kind of same, but kind of majorly rebooted continuity. And the art is great. There was a short in, I want to say, the Free Comic Book Day Ninja Turtles, and I very much enjoyed that. Yeah, these two are phenomenal together. And I still enjoyed everything having to do with Nightwatcher, but then the outfit comes off, and I'm like, oh, well, I mean, out of the costume, I care less about this individual. And I'm just like, I don't know. So the short was good. The art on this is good. There's a bunch of these like interview things that there's at least 4 of those, possibly 5. And it kind of breaks up, but it's adding context, and it's I don't know. It's fine, I guess, but I don't think I'm continuing this either, just because I don't know. It's like if I wanted a Batman book and I disliked Bruce Wayne. As soon as the costume comes off, I'm just like, meh, moving on. So, I don't know. I think this is another case of I will check out whatever the artist does next. And Junie Ba, maybe on another property. I think he's doing something with... yeah, I say he, I don't know. She? Who knows? Not me. I think they're doing something with DC. Batman, Robin, and Howard? Is that the one? Anyway, that one doesn't interest me either. I will keep an eye on Junie Ba and Pharaoh Pei. His art's great. Batman Gotham by Gaslight, the Kryptonian Age #3. That's such a ridiculously long title. Part of the reason I grabbed this is because I liked Diggle years back, and this series has largely been disappointing. I thought it was longer, and I just saw yesterday. So the solicits just went up for November, I want to say, and it's only a 6-issue series, and I'm like, I don't see how this is going to get anywhere. The story so far has gone nowhere in 3 issues, and I don't... It's just an exploration of the world, one character at a time, and there's just not enough meat. There's nothing that I care about that's happening here, and I don't think I'm continuing with this one either. So, like I said at the start, I'm trying to make decisions faster as far as what I don't read. And this, I think, is another example of that. She shows up this issue, and she's super annoying, not because of the character, but because of her speech. There's a couple of references. There's dialogue where she's talking, and the guys that she's with are talking. Guys that she meets, I guess, because she's from... Under the surface, this gets complicated pretty quickly. She's from underground. She says all of this speech, and these guys are like, hey, do you have any idea what she's saying? No. All of this text should have been in brackets. If she's speaking another language, it's inexcusable that it's not, and it's super annoying, and like, come on, DC, get your shit together. Also, it takes 2 panels to name Matches Malone. Like, what the fuck? There's no excuse for that either. Like, it's just... This book is just one character winks at the camera. Here's a thing that you kind of know, except it's different now. It's still largely the same, and like, it's just a slog to get through, and I don't care anymore. First issue was strong, and issue 2 and especially issue 3 are just not. And so like, at this point I've read half of the series, and it's, as I said, going absolutely nowhere. I thought it was going to be a 12-issue series, but apparently it's only 6, and I do not care. Napalm Lullaby. This is another one of those titles that I would put up there with Berg's love of Sacrificers. It's phenomenal. It's hard to describe because, I mean, there are absolutely things that anyone that's read comics would find similar to other things that they've read. It's kind of a very twisted Superman story, which we've seen multiple variations on Superman-ish characters. Omni-Man is another one of those examples where it's a similar start, goes off in a different direction. This is a similar start that goes off in an extremely different direction, and it's borderline similar to what Miller was doing with Jupiter's Legacy. It's bonkers. This book is bonkers. I love it. The art's phenomenal. I'm a fan of Bengal. I'm especially a fan of Remender, and every issue this book manages to surprise me. I generally have an idea of where things are going to go. I have at least an idea, and this series I have no idea, and I'm loving it. It's story and the characters are phenomenal. I love them. And then just the surprise element of every issue, I grab it, and there's something I wanted to mention right here in the beginning. It's right here. It's page 2. So they're talking about this guy in this capsule. Don't let him out is what she's saying, and under any circumstances. And so it was page 2, and I'm like, all right, anytime there's a story, movie, TV, whatever, it establishes a set of rules, I know immediately those rules are going to get broken. And so I'm like, it's a little bit foreshadowing, it's a little bit dread-inducing, because you're like, oh, what's going to happen? And so, like, that makes sense to me. But it's page 2, and I'm like, I kind of inwardly groan at, oh, I know what's going to happen now. And I don't. I absolutely don't. I'm wrong, and it's in the best possible way. It's so good. Highly recommended. It's Remender. My God, man. This guy can write some books. Barbaric issue 3. This is of the Born in Blood series, and it's so goddamn good. Oh, man. So there's a bunch of stuff happening with these two. This guy on the cover who reminds you of 300, and her, and then there's a bunch of Owen stuff, and Steel, and my mental voice for Steel now is Michael Madsen, because he says a line that, oh my god, put a huge smile on my face. So there's so much like lore establishment and setup for series to come, and new things and twists on things that you thought you knew, and still, despite all of that, there's incredible action. There's a bunch of Axe stuff, who is hilarious. He's fighting, he's being slashed toward these werewolves, and he's getting hair stuck in his mouth, and he's like trying to spit it out. And Axe is so great. I flipped to this, so that happens, and then what happens after, like, I don't want to show you, I just want you to read it. It's so good. This is another that's just going to be one of the books of the year. So there's a bunch of stuff that wraps up the current story that happens, and then there's a pretty significant amount of pages at the back of this that just set up what's to come, and it's so good. It's so good. I so want this to be a monthly book, but don't rush it. I will wait. Be patient, because the pace that they're going, just like a 3-issue miniseries every few months, is working. It's absolutely working. Do not rush it. Take your time. Do what you need. I will be satisfied once I get the book in hand. But holy cow, this is absolutely recommended. I also grabbed, but I have not opened, this is still shrink wrapped, the new Brubaker and Phillips Houses of the Unholy. I can't remember what this is about. This probably would tell me, but I'll just go into it without knowing and surprise myself. So I grabbed these. It will probably be a while before I get to this. I'm not rushing it because I'm currently reading the Garth Ennis Punisher Omnibus that Wilson is letting me borrow, and I'm also making my way through Cyberforce, and I'm definitely going to have comments on this, so I'll probably do a repile video on this when I finish that. I will not do one on Punisher because I'm just going to broadly recommend it right now. That omnibus starts with the Welcome Back Frank story that I just did a video on recently, and it just continues from there. It's the Marvel Knights stuff, if I remember correctly, not Punisher Max. So it's really, really good. Super funny. It's just that continuation of the story. The characters are largely the same, and there's some phenomenal one-shots and multiple issue story arcs, and it's really good. I'm very much enjoying that. One last thing. So I think this is the ramble. I think part of my ability to make decisions more quickly is the shop where I get my books. It changed their website a couple of years back, and I now have greater control over my pull list. Like I always did before, I could fill out the sheet. There's a sheet somewhere. I could fill out the sheet and I could send an email, and for years I was sending emails like once a month. I'd go through previews and it'd be like, this is all the stuff that I want, and take this stuff off. And putting the control in my hands and being able to both subscribe to a series with one click, or being able to note issue by issue, like this is the exact cover that I want, it put so much control in my hands, and it's mildly time consuming. Like, it's not, it's worth noting that it takes some time to put this together, to figure out what I'm going to buy, but it's worth it in the end. And I can, drop an issue more quickly. I'm sure it's a pain for the shop because they're ordering months in advance, but I'm in a position where I can get issue 2 and decide not to get issue 3, and I'm enjoying the current state of things. And like I said, I'm finally at a point where I'm making decisions more quickly about things that I should drop and that I'm just not enjoying as much, and I'm enjoying it. I'm thankful for the time that I live in. It's 21st century. Anyway, all of this stuff is fairly disappointing, and these 3 are phenomenal. So these 3 get pick of the week, and find yourself something good to read. That's all I want. So that is everything that I got this week. I'm pretty sure there wasn't anything else I wanted to talk about. I'm an idiot. I finished this video. I was starting to gather thumbnails for it, and the very first thing I see is Transformers 11, and I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't talk about that. It was on the other desk. So, Transformers 11. This is the Ultra Magnus, Ultra Mega variant cover homage by James Herron, and it is absolutely gorgeous. I love this. So happy I got this cover. Anyway, the standard cover is right here. It's like cardstock too. I don't know if they've done that before, but anyway, this issue is phenomenal. It would have been one of my picks of the week if it were on the correct table when I was doing the whole rest of this video. There's a bunch of Alita and RC and Carly stuff, and there's Beachcomber and Spike and Astro Train, right? That's who's chained up. And Shockwave is still just incredible. He's an absolute maniac dickhole, and it's phenomenal. It's just great. I mean, look at this. Look at that. Anyway, there's at the back here, when they're talking about letters, there's a question that Berg, Wilson, and I have had about how long Johnson is going to be writing this, and one of the responses he gives in the letters column is talking about how he thinks he's done not as great of a job with the combiners as, I guess, notably the Constructicons at this point. That he hasn't done as great of a job sort of developing them individually, which he hopes to do better in the future, which leads me to believe he's going to be on it for a while. Fingers crossed that that's true, but it's a great issue. It's another one of those. It's going to be best of 2024 whenever, because I mentioned that earlier in this video too. So it's a phenomenal issue. I think there's one issue to go in this arc, and the November solicits just went up yesterday, and I think the next arc is only 2 issues, which is surprising. But whatever. I'm in. I love this series. I get all my books from a local comic shop. If you don't know where yours is, you can use this URL to find the one closest to you. Thanks for watching.